Let's get to our next topic. Jamie Giellis, president of River North Arts District, officially announced this week that she is running for mayor of Denver. Giellis is founder of Centro, a firm that has worked on several urban planning projects in Denver. Eric, one more name, a pretty big name coming into the mayor's race. Is this good or bad news for Mayor Hancock to see one more big name in the race?
I'd say on some, it's bad news in that it indicates a sense around town of vulnerability where more than one opponent is emerging. What we know now is that we will have a vibrant mayor's race, an engaged mayor's race, vigorous debates, and that's what this city needs. I do not know Jamie Giellis. I'm looking forward to fixing that at some point before long. But she strikes me as having an interesting profile, female, younger, with much more of a neighborhood focus. I think she could go one of two ways and could go there rather quickly. One is that she could really rise as the sort of neighborhood, a candidate who gets neighborhood politics and neighborhood involvement. The opposite scenario would be she gets tagged as a River North person, gentrification, everything that people in other parts of Denver who are either affected by gentrification or just think that all this inner city growth is, a lot of yuppies, creative class people they don't identify with. So I think that will be her challenge, but I have a sense that her candidacy could be quite intriguing and could go some distance.
Susan, Rhino is a cool, new, hip neighborhood in Denver, but it, in some ways is indicative of some of the frustrations a lot of other Denverites have about Denver. How do you think that's going to affect Gillis's campaign for mayor?
I mean, I think if she's, and she will be given a chance, obviously, to explain what she's been doing in Rhino, and I think what she's been doing is rather interesting in terms of smart growth, and so that conversation in Denver is an important one. I mean, it's certainly not one that we've really had with our mayor, and I don't think her entry into this race, number one, I don't think we know the field yet. It's too early. I'm sure we'll have other contenders as well. But I think every additional candidate who's challenging this incumbent mayor is healthy for Denver. I'm less interested in which candidate it is than that we have conversations that the city has not had. I mean, we've not had conversations about affordable housing. We've not had conversations about huge problems in our safety department and the administration's failure to address them. We've also not had conversations about little things like this week, the city council sort of cleaned up this green roof issue in Denver. And I think it's interesting that passed 2 years ago because Hancock was asleep at the wheel. Like, it never would have happened that something like that would have passed under Hickenlooper, and certainly not Wellington Webb, where the mayor is just kind of looking the other way and this major policy gets passed in his city seemingly without his knowledge. And so I think this conversation about who's watching, things at City Hall, who's really managing them is important, and every new addition to the race makes that a better conversation.
Patty, what does Jamie Gillis's entry into the race bring to the growing contingent of people looking to become the next mayor?
It definitely brings someone who's got experience and smarts dealing with the city on a lot of sticky problems. She didn't create Rhino. Tracy Weil, an artist, and Jill Hadley Hooper did 15 years ago, and Tracy Weil has stepped in to be the president of the Rhino Arts District now, while Jamie Gillis runs for mayor. And I think what we see is if Tracy and Jill and Jamie hadn't been as smart, and with their board as smart as they were, there would be nothing at all of interest left in Rhino because that growth was going to happen. They've just tried to put the brakes on to keep Rhino somewhat creative and artistic because the city wasn't doing anything. And I think we're going to have a long postponed conversation about where do we want to see Denver going. She'll definitely add to it. Lisa Calderon will add to it. Penn Tate will add to it. Kaylin Heffernan is going to add to it. So we're going to have really good debates, I think.
David, when we see more names of significant stature enter the mayor's race, is that good news for Hancock because it dilutes the pool, or is it bad news because there's just one more person who thinks they could take him down?
I think it's bad news because unless he gets 50% in round one, then he goes into a runoff against whoever came in second, and that's how previous mayors have gone down. It's how Bill McNichols finally lost. So it increases the chance that somebody will be really good and there's a diversity of people to emerge who could win that the runoff election. We don't, she's not well known currently, but like John Hickenlooper, who came out as a very unknown businessman from a then trendy Denver neighborhood, you can catch on.